Joining me right now is Tiffany No Chill Tio, one championship strawweight. Welcome to Kumite Radio.
All right, hi, John.
You recently changed your nickname from the Soul Crusher to No Chill. What was the reason?
I feel like this name suits me more, like as a fighter, like my mentality, the way I train, the way I think when I'm in a fight. Yeah, so yeah, it represents me more.
Let's go back to the genesis of you. Like when you were young, I've heard that you weren't really into sports as much. Why were you
Yeah,
not really into sports?
I just didn't enjoy, because back in school we do a lot of games like volleyball, like for PE classes we do volleyball, basketball, captain's ball. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not too much of a team player. Yeah, so I didn't really enjoy the games that much. Yeah, so I was like finding every excuse I could to skip PE classes. Yeah,
But now you're in a cage
yeah, I
fighting,
know.
smashing people and arm bar and choking people out. So it must be a huge difference when, when you look back when you were young and you didn't even want to play sports at all, right?
It's not just for me, even for my friends, my schoolmates, they were also surprised. Fast forward a few years later, I'm in a cage, MMA fighter. So yeah, it's a shock for a lot of people. Yeah.
Began your journey in martial arts with Muay Thai, and then you got into the
Mhm.
boxing, and then, you added the jiu-jitsu. When did you figure like, hey, maybe I should step into the cage and test my skills?
It was really random, like my first professional MMA fight. So what happened was I've quite a few like boxing and Muay Thai fights, and I started doing a bit of BJJ. And my coach was like, "Oh, since you can strike, you can grapple. Why don't you try MMA?" So yeah, this conversation happened in a pub. So like, because he was preparing for a fight promotion, so he managed to find me an opponent, and I had my first professional fight in like 2 or 3 weeks notice. Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Like having such a short notice fight in your first professional fight.
Mm, Back then it was like I just wanted to give it a try. I didn't know I wasn't sure if I would like it, MMA. So I was like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. What I mean, I was thinking like, I mean, nothing can really go wrong. I mean, I can strike, I can grapple. So I didn't see like it was. I thought like it's a good idea to give it a try. Yeah.
When you were young, you did a lot of traveling and you did a lot of solo traveling. Now,
Yeah.
what countries did you visit, and what did you learn from your travels?
Well, I visited a lot of countries. United States, Spain, Italy, Thailand, Vietnam. Yeah, Vietnam was one of the first country I traveled solo to. Um, yeah, like Canada, Montreal. Yeah, so a lot of countries. So what I realized, the first time when I went to Vietnam it was actually a planned trip with my friends, but last minute they couldn't make it, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it by myself. Yeah, so I didn't really plan much for the trip. So when I arrived in Vietnam, I was like, okay, shit just got real. Yeah, here in Vietnam. So yeah, I realized that it makes me step out of my comfort zone, and I kind of got comfortable being not comfortable, I guess. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, does that is that what you take from your travels and kind of incorporate into your mixed martial arts preparations?
Yeah, definitely. Like, especially when you're fighting in a cage, in a ring, it's like, um, yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable being inside. It's for me at least. Yeah, so it took me a while to get comfortable, fighting in front of so many people. Yeah, so yeah, solo travel, the translation, the lesson I learned in solo travel, yeah, did help with fighting.
Yeah, you made your debut in the beginning of 2016. You fought four times in 2016 for Singapore Fighting Championship, Full Metal Dojo, and then in 2017 You transitioned over to one championship. You fought there 3 times, and now within a 2 year span, you're fighting for a world title. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it still feels kind of surreal to me, honestly. Like I was just talking to my coach a few weeks ago, because when I was preparing for my last fight, I had a few guys about my weight from other gyms coming in to help me, and I remember 3 years ago I was watching them fight, and I wasn't doing any MMA back then. I was like a pure striker,
Mm.
and yeah, and now they are helping me, to prepare for my fight. So yeah, it still feels very surreal to me. Like you let the reality kind of sink in. Yeah.
When you look back at your it's like a whirlwind of 2 years of just fights back to back to back to back. Which fight do you look at and say, "Hey, I learned the most from this"?
I would say my fight against Rebecca Heisman
Mhm.
was like two fights ago. Yeah, it was in Singapore. Yeah, so that fight, I felt because most of my opponents I fought before that they were mostly strikers. So yeah, the game plan was simple, just to take them down and control them on the ground. So Rebecca, she was the first, I would say, well-rounded fighter I fought. So yeah, it made me realize, it made me work a lot of things that I didn't used to for my previous fights. And yeah, she was a really good challenge for me, and I feel like my game has evolved quite a bit after that fight. Yeah.
What did you see like after that fight when you watched the video again? Like, "Hey, this is the part where I needed to focus on more in my preparation."
Yeah, so after that fight, I realized like I need a lot of work in my wrestling. So I've been focusing a lot on wrestling ever since that fight, even like for this camp, for the last camp. Yeah, I've been trying to wrestle more.
Now, you got the biggest fight of your life coming up,
Yeah.
January 20th in Jakarta, main eventing, right, for the title against Jin Nang for the biggest prize, right? It's the inaugural championship, which means you go down in history, you win this belt. Um, you started your camp at Team Highlight Reel.
Yeah.
Who are you working with over there, and what did you work on?
At Highlight Reel, I mainly work with Major overall. She's also a ONE FC fighter.
Mm.
So main most of the work there was wrestling and jiu-jitsu, I would say. So I had my first week of my camp at Team Highlight Reel, and I came over to Tiger mainly because of sparring partners. So yeah, having sparring partners has always been one of the major issue in my camps. Like in Singapore, especially, there's not a lot of girls of my size, doing MMA. And if you find one, chances are you're probably gonna fight her. Yeah, so that's the main reason for coming to Tiger.
Now, with your transition, how has it been, like moving from Singapore to Thailand?
Yeah, it was pretty smooth, I would say. Like I really enjoy being in Thailand, and I've been here before, so I'm not entirely new to Phuket or Tiger. Yeah, and I've some friends training at Tiger Muay Thai, like Emilio. He'll be fighting in the Manila card. Yeah, so I know people here, so the transition has been pretty smooth.
All right, now if you look at your fights, right, the ones that I look back and see the highlights, you go in there and you do sit there and strike, but then you love to take the girls down and ground and pound or get a submission. Do you expect to do the same against your opponent for the title?
I feel like the chances of getting a knockout for this fight is pretty high.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see how the fight unfolds. So I'm planning to like strike with her for a bit and have a feel of her movement, how her style is like. And if the knockout is there, I'll go for it. If not, yeah, I'll bring it to the ground. I feel like my advantage is, I would think that I'm pretty well rounded. So stand up on the ground, yeah, I feel like both are my advantages. Yeah.
What was your initial reaction when you got the news that they were going to give you a title shot? Or did you already know? Did you know, like, if I win this fight, your last fight in November, that
Yeah.
you were going to get this chance?
Yeah. So Chatri mentioned during the press conference of my last fight, that if I won my last fight, I'll get a title shot for my next fight. So I knew it like 1 week in advance before my last fight. Yeah.
Did you have added pressure to perform better or to get the win?
A little bit to perform better and yeah, and to get the win for sure. Cause I knew that if I won my last fight, the next fight will be for the title.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was a little bit more stressed than usual. Yeah.
Your opponent, Jin Nan, have you been watching her? Did you kind of scope her out? Have you been scoping her out for a while as a potential opponent?
No, not really. Like I didn't know about her until my last fight.
Mhm.
I read some online articles saying that she got signed to one championship and that she might get a shot at the title too. So I figured that if she won her last fight, she'll probably be fighting for the title, and I'll probably be fighting her. Yeah.
When you evaluate her, she is well-rounded, but a lot of people know her for her like knockouts. So when you evaluate her, what do you look at?
I feel like her strength. She's well rounded, but she's more comfortable with striking.
Mhm.
She tries to keep the fight stand up as much as possible. And yeah, like you said, most of her wins are via knockout or TKO, like in the first or the second round. So I feel like her first round will probably be her strongest round. Yeah,
So you expect probably to take her into the deeper rounds and take her out.
yeah.
All right, now if you could make a prediction on what's going to happen on January 20th in Jakarta, what would you say?
Mm, Probably like round 2 or 3 knockout. Yeah,
That's good. That's very confident. You got to have that, right? You're going in for
yeah.
the title. That's nice. Thank you for joining me and good luck.
Right, thanks for your time, Joa.